wake of the quota violence in Manipur, tensions continue in the state with fresh clashes between militants and the security forces. Union Home Minister Amit Shah will review the ground situation in the state during his visit to Imphal. Chief Minister CM Biren Singh has appealed to citizens to maintain peace and harmony. He also said that 40 Kuki militants have been gunned down by the security forces as the situation remains tense. The Army and Assam Rifles have been deployed in sensitive areas and the internet services will remain shut till May 31st. The state government has said that the fresh violence is not between two communities but has been sparked by armed militants trying to spread divisions in the state. The big question remains, can the centre diffuse the crisis? Is there a path to peace?
Situation remains tensed in Manipur. Right now we are standing in the heart of Imphal, but the entire Imphal is deserted. None of the shops are open. You can see behind me the roads. Very few emergency vehicles are flying in.
Mass combing operations along with the helicopter surveillance has started, and we're trying to find out if the culprits, those militants who are attacking the civilians.
Amit Shah will be coming to Manipur in Imphal, and he will hold rounds of meeting with the Chief Minister, with the forces. That's what we are getting it from the sources.
मंगलवार के दिन प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया से टाइम पूछे हैं. हम जाकर डेलीगेशन में जाकर उनसे मिलेंगे और मिलकर उनसे ये सारी चीजें बताएंगे.
From the beginning of this year, unrest resurfaced in Manipur for multiple reasons. On May 3rd, unprecedented violent clashes, attacks and arson broke out at various places during a tribal solidarity march called by the All Tribal Students Union of Manipur to oppose the demand for inclusion of the Meitei community in the ST category. The protest was organized against the demand for placing the Meitei community on the scheduled tribes list. Last month, the Manipur High Court had asked the state government to consider awarding the ST status to this community. The Naga and Kuki tribal communities were angry with this order. The Meitei community comprises of 53% of the population and are mostly Hindus. Kuki and Naga tribal people comprise of 40% of the total population. And according to the state's law, people from the Meitei community cannot live or purchase land in the hilly areas. And 90% of the state's landmass is mountainous. So, 53% of the population gets only 10% of the landmass to live in. The tribal unions fear the Meitei community will snatch away their land from them if they get that ST status. The Meitei community says that the tribals were angry with the government's drive to weed out illegal immigrants. They claim that the Kuki community had entered India from neighboring countries and has encroached upon the jungle lands, and they are upset with the government's eviction drive. According to the Meitei and other agitators, the influx of outsiders from both inside and outside India, including people from Myanmar, Nepal and Bangladesh, has significantly affected the identity, culture, economy, administration and the environment of the state. The BJP-led government in Manipur has claimed that the process is on to include Meiteis in the ST list. The central government on December 11th, 2019, at the height of the agitation against the Citizenship Amendment Act, introduced the ILP, which stands for Inner Line Permit. This is a system to strictly monitor the movement of outsiders in the state and to protect the interests of the indigenous people. The ILP under the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873 is an official travel document that allows an Indian citizen to visit the states where ILP is enforced for a limited period of time and with a specific purpose. Now you may ask, can this violence actually spill over to other regions? Two Mizoram districts, that is Aizawl and Saitual, share around a 95-kilometer border with Manipur, which has also 204-kilometer and 225-kilometer interstate borders with Assam and Nagaland respectively. Many tribal and non-tribal communities, especially the Meitei, Naga, Kuki, Mizo, Chakma, are living in different northeastern states, presenting a complex linguistic mosaic with over 200 dialects. The northeastern region is home to 45.58 million people, that is according to 2011 census. The indigenous tribals constitute around 28% of the population, and they mostly speak in their mother tongue or their indigenous language. The tribals and non-tribals belong to Hindu, Christian and Muslim communities with different lifestyles, cultures, traditions and languages. Any kind of negative incident involving one or two communities in a particular state often has a counter effect in other states of the region, causing ethnic trouble. Besides the insurgency, Naga, Kuki, Meitei versus other tribals, Chakma versus other tribals and numerous other ethnic conflicts have claimed thousands of lives and damaged huge property during the past many decades in the northeastern region. Chief Minister of Manipur, Biren Singh, has blamed Kuki terrorists of being behind the recent violence in Manipur. He claims terrorist groups are using sophisticated arms against civilians. So what's behind the Kuki insurgency? It also boils down to ethnic identity. First was the demand for a Kuki land, which includes Kuki inhabited regions of Myanmar, Manipur, Assam and Mizoram. The second reason for insurgency lies in the intercommunity conflicts between the Kukis and the Nagas in Manipur. The Kuki-Naga conflict was started over securing identity and land, as some Kuki-inhabited areas coincided with Naga-inhabited areas. What's clear is that Manipur's unresolved ethnic fault lines have made the state a ticking time bomb. So what is the path to peace? Suhas Chakma is the director of the Rights and Risks Analysis Group. Patricia Mukhim is editor of Shillong Times. You also have Subir Bhaumik, senior journalist and author of The Crisis of India's Northeast. Patricia, Chief Minister Biren Singh has blamed Kuki terrorists of being behind the recent violence in Manipur. He claims that terrorist groups are using sophisticated arms against civilians. So what's behind the Kuki insurgency?
See, the Kuki insurgency, like the Meiteis also have they had around 32 militant outfits, which are all now under SOO. So each ethnic community is asking for a homeland, which is something that's not possible. You have the Bodos demanding a homeland in Assam. You have different ethnic groups demanding homelands everywhere. Perhaps what they want is greater autonomy in administration, like the 10 Kuki MLAs have said, that they want a separate administrative unit. And that is because, unlike the other hill tribes, the Kukis have not been given powers under the 6th schedule of the Constitution to govern themselves. All of us in Meghalaya, in Assam, in Mizoram, we have the 6th schedule of the Indian Constitution, which is almost like a state within a state. And Biren Singh went and intruded into the forest areas without as much as consulting the Hill Areas Committee, which is a poorer version of the district councils under the 6th schedule of the Constitution. And I would like to say that it is very wrong of a chief minister to assume a position of representing one community and calling the other community terrorist groups and terrorist outfits.
Okay.
And the kind of action that we see today from the armed forces almost looks like an anti-insurgency sort of mission.
Okay.
It's not even a peace-building mission. We don't see any peace-building happening anywhere. And the problem is that it seems to me there's a crisis of confidence in Manipur, which cannot be restored so easily. Things have gone beyond any kind of, resolution at this point.
Okay.
And to blame only the hill people of using their militant outfits is wrong, because in the valley, recently you had the Arambai Tengol, the Meitei Lipun, which looted arms from no less than the police training center. How did they manage to do that?
Okay, let me bring Suhas Chakma on this. Suhas Chakma, there is that view that perhaps this entire crisis is being explained in terms of binaries. Like there is term of Christian tribals versus Hindu Meitei, hills versus valley. And these binaries are far away from the reality. Suhas Chakma.
These realities have been there for a long time. I think what is clear is the fact that, for the Meiteis to be considered as scheduled tribe, there is a long way out there. At the end of the day, no community can be included either in the scheduled caste or scheduled tribes community without sociological studies indicating the fact that they belong to certain categories and they actually possess the traits or characteristics to be identified as a scheduled tribe. 75 years after independence, you cannot say that I am tribal. It has to be supported. And the Supreme Court has very clear that whether you are a Jat or you are anybody else, unless there is a specific sociological study, you cannot be included. And what the BJP government has been doing in Manipur and elsewhere is basically vote bank politics. I think what we need to understand at this point of time is that Meiteis are not going to be scheduled tribes. Kukis are not going to get Kuki land. We need to establish peace, and for establishing the peace, when you have this kind of ethnic conflict, you usually have citizens level, dialogue you have at the level of the non-governmental organizations, religious groups, societal groups, but everything is absent in Manipur, and there is a trust deficit because nobody trusts Biren-Singh-government, both from the Meitei sides as well as the Kuki side. So if you as the central government have had declared, imposed Article 355 about a month ago, it has failed to stop the violence. I think it's for you to review that situation and say that, come back as the interlocutor, because the only interlocutor at this point of time which is accepted is the central government, and they are shying away from it. Even if the Home Minister is visiting today after 23 days, it's extremely unfortunate.
Okay.
But what are you doing for the last 23 days?
Subir, when we look at this issue, the ethnic fault lines are clearly on the surface. And as we have been saying that this is almost like a ticking time bomb. Then what is the solution? Let's look at solution now. Subir, you begin.
My solution is threefold. Number one, as Patricia rightly said, don't, defame a particular community by calling them poppy cultivators and all that nonsense. Go for a proper land use policy. Ensure that the Burmese drug lords cannot come to Manipur and ask local farmers to plant poppy. Give them a proper crop, alternative. Plant spices in Manipur and that stuff, so that the income of farmers, Meiteis or Kukis, are taken care of. Number one. Number two, we have to see, the Sengol and other groups are recent. And but the authentic, the old, traditional Meitei rebel outfits, they have maintained their balance in this entire crisis. The PLA, the UNLF, they have not gone overboard, even as some politicians or overground politicians have gone overboard and behaved ethnically. So the time is ripe now to start a peace effort, bringing in intercommunity, platform, create an intercommunity platform. Give a lot of importance to gender. Women are peacemakers in Northeast. Bring women leaders. Bring Mary Kom. Bring, the great weightlifter, Kunjarani Devi. Inko samne laiye. Kick out these politicians who have created these problems. So, three things. Intercommunity platform to resume a proper dialogue which can lead to solutions of outstanding problems. Number one. Number two, a crop alternative which augments the income of farmers. And number 3, tribal autonomy has to be taken seriously.
Okay.
You look at Tripura. How the problem has been tackled there when the communist government, majority Bengali MLAs, they agreed to 6th scheduled tribal autonomous council, giving 70% of the land area to 30% community.
Okay.
So the tribal autonomy is the answer.
Okay.
It should not be taken
So
lightly.
you have spoken of threefold solution. Patricia, 30 seconds to you. The role of women.
I agree with
the
what
role of
Subir
women
has
here.
said. I have been saying this. We are a troubled region, but we do not have a single institution for peace building. We do not know how to go about it. Peace building requires a certain vocabulary, certain gestures, certain, you can't just go and try and build peace there if you do not know the right way, the right if you don't have the right attitude, and if you are not balanced enough. Because anyone who tries to build peace must refrain from seeing people, as victims and aggressors. I think it's very important, especially at this point, for the central government to send a fact-finding committee, because it's all, this group is saying this, the other group is saying that, and there is nothing that is balanced that's coming out of Manipur.
Okay. Suhas Chakma,
So we first need to get to the truth of the matter, address them. Subir had spoken about the drug trade. It's a 50,000 crore rupees trade annually. You have to address that as well, because that is also a trigger.
Okay, Suhas Chakma, 30 seconds to you, and then I wrap this debate.
Well, I think I would say that the central government should immediately intervene to ensure that the Meiteis could live in the areas where they were in the hills prior to the start of these riots, and as well as the Kukis, so that they could live in the valley where they were prior to the start of that conflict. If you can ensure, provide security, and allow communities from both sides to come and live, then I think it creates necessary ambience for talks and etc. At the moment, what the government of Manipur has done is basically relocate about 50,000 people. From the Kukis can only find safety in Kuki areas, Meiteis can find safety in the Meitei areas. So it's basically ethnic cleansing. You have cleansed the areas, and it's almost, as I said, partition of India. You cannot, after 75 years, create a situation where people live separately. I think the best way, if the state cannot provide that security in the heart of Imphal city, where the Kukis are, then it's very unfortunate. So,
Suhas Chakma, I've really come to the end of this discussion. Suhas Chakma, Patricia and Subir, really appreciate your time. That's all from me. We'll continue to put lens on this story repeatedly. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow.